Welcome back to your Friday night racing for the Jinx Shifters AOSC11 race 196 that we've had. And of course, tonight we are at round number 5, coming from Mosport, as it's commonly known, the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Tonight, joining myself, Matty Kavanagh, in the commentary box is Daniel Leake. Good to have you back this week, mate.
Yeah, g'day, mate. Great to be back. Looking forward to this one. Off to Canada. And I mean, past adventures here have been very exciting, very technical circuit, even though it looks very simplistic on paper.
Been a couple of seasons too, not back since season 8 have we been here. Big shout out, of course, to all of our fantastic sponsors for the Jinx Shifters AOSC11. RaceKraft Simulations over in WA. We know they're doing fantastic things over there. Simrigs.com, track cams for gourmets, AJ Insurance Services, Acuta, Race Circuit Art Australia, and of course our friends in the US of A, Team 126 Racing. And we've got a little bit of an announcement that was out in our social media to talk about a little bit later when it comes to those guys. And another award we're going to have this season, of course, tonight, we did say it, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, or Mosport as it's known. And Dan, run us through how this track is going to go.
Yeah, it's a very interesting circuit. It's one that, as we say, very technical as far as getting the cars to rotate left to right through some of the quick turns. The runoff down through turn 2, 3, 4, it's a big drop downhill, and we've seen plenty of guys go too wide through there in the past, and it's very easy to step sideways, catch the grass, and unfortunately find yourself into a tyre wall. The next big one is going to be the braking zone, double right-handed apex that takes you onto the very long back straight, where if you can get the exit there, you're going to set yourself up for a nice pass before you come through to conclude the lap. So 3.91 Ks. It's pretty clear and calm out there tonight, 32 degrees on track, and yeah, good times for these guys to be able to set, especially coming into the single lap shootout.
Yeah, and let's have a chat about the single lap shootout, because that's where we bring in our friends from the USA, Team 126 Racing, who are doing a fantastic job sharing the AOSC over in the United States. But they have put together something, a bit of a prize we're going to give to someone this year, and it's, of course, the most points following all the single lap shootout qualifying rounds. So obviously we had race 2 in Chicago, race 5 at Mosport here, race 13, race 14, race 15, race 16, where we're all going to have them. So to be eligible to score the points in the in the Shootout King award, you must be in the top 10 pre-qualifying times or top 10 practice times in the case of Bathurst. So points will be awarded on the following basis: fastest qualifier 4 points, second fastest 2 points, third fastest 1 point. In the event that we have 2 or more drivers are tied, the award will go to the driver with a greater number of higher overall qualifying points. So the winner's going to get himself a fantastic trophy to commemorate their victory here, I suppose, and an iRacing voucher for the amount of not less than $50. So good to see Team 126 Racing being part of AOSC and a single lap shootout tonight, Dan, and it's not far from getting underway.
No, not too far at all. We've got the guys that didn't make the top 10 at the moment, just going through and completing their laps at the moment. Current best time out on circuit at the moment in the hands of Tom Freer at Synergy Sim Racing, 116.171. So it's going to be a good target for the guys coming in the top in the shootout to try and match and see whether they can claw their way up. And as we know already through Chicago, we've seen some guys cement themselves up pretty high in the order who maybe didn't make that top 10. So it's going to be very critical to see what the guys can do tonight.
Well, watching in the practice sessions and the pre-qualifying earlier, Dan, we noticed that time from Tom Freer with the 116.17 is right up there, and that probably will knock a couple of people out of the top 10 when they come out for their single lap shootout. So be interested to see how that goes. Tom Freer hasn't had the most success when it comes to being on the big screen and being in that top 10, but he can put a time down, and maybe it's just that little bit of pressure he doesn't have tonight. He's just knocked it out of the park with that 116.17. Jackson Sizzlin Harlow. Now, this is another bit of a move. He's gone from United Sim Sport now, and he's gone over to the Synergy Sim Racing team. Maybe that's where Tom Freer's got a little bit of information there with the car setup, because he was super fast last week, unfortunately. Just didn't quite get the pit stop strategy right.
Well, yeah, and that's an interesting move. Sizzlin Harlow, very accomplished driver in the supercars, very quick, and a driver of his caliber coming across to Synergy, only helping to bolster their ranks, and that's going to lead to good things as they get themselves back up on top of the setup and progress further up the forward. I mean, we know they were great last season, and they're building on that again this time.
So if you just joined us and you want to know what a single lap shootout is, I'm going to try and explain this the best way I can, and it may be confusing for some, but I hope you get it. Everybody gets a chance. They will have the track to themselves in their own little simulator. When they're logged into their iRacing account, they will get one lap. They come out, do an out lap, they get one flying lap, and they come in. And that time is what sets them up in the qualifying ranks to start this race. Now, in the pre-qualifying, we took the top 10, the 10 fastest drivers. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to put them up on our coverage for you, starting at 10 down to 1. So it's going to be Andrew Dyson out of 10, Thomas Hinzer out of 9, Brian Borg out of 8, Adam Briggs out of 7, Jordan Ross out of 6, Damian Johnson out of 5, Jack Boyd out of 4th, Rick Kuznetsov out of 3, Jackson Suzlin Harlow out of 2, and Cory Shepard out of P1 there. So another big name not here tonight. James Scott, did not see that up there, and he is not racing tonight and hasn't been here throughout the entire series. So basically what it is, we are going to put them on the coverage. However, the guys that have already done their single lap shootout in the background, you haven't seen, hasn't been on the on the coverage, on the broadcast, they can still get number 1 if they want to.
Yeah.
So it's not like a top 10 shootout where we put our top 10 in and they're our top 10. It's just the top 10 are going to have their single lap out here on the broadcast, and they'll have a little bit more time to get prepared for it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, we touched on it just a minute ago. Tom Freer currently leading the way of the guys that didn't make the shootout tonight. He's set that very quick time, the 1:16.1. The guys behind, though, only 0.2 of a second, basically covering down to Kyle Stokes there. And you think about the guys currently in the top 10 at this point in time, there's only a bit over a second covering these guys, so not much at all. So you've got to be very quick and committed tonight.
Yeah, and it can all go wrong very easily. Grab a little bit too much curb and it will kick the car out, and it gets very unsettling. So hopefully they all get through it tonight and we don't have any dramas at all, because Andrew Dyson is going to be the first one out to see if he can make his mark when it comes to the single lap shootout. Starting out of obviously 10, let's see where he is going to end up tonight. Hopefully he can put himself up towards the front. Last week, a few little issues there for the team. They were a bit further back down, him and Briggsy, not where they normally are, really. They ended up last week pushing themselves back to 7 and 8. So that was pretty unfortunate for them, actually, to be back in 7 and 8 last week after sort of tussling away. Cory Shepard had an up and down night, ended up in 3rd. Jackson Suzlin Harlow, we spoke about that. Really came down. He did the long game when it came to the short 30-lap race there. He went out like almost, I think it was 20 laps he went out to start with, and then 2 quick pit stops at the end. Now, let's bring that up tonight. Tonight, you can get home without fuel. You can fill up at the start and make it all the way. But the rules are in these short races now, compulsory 2 pit stops. So what do? If you're leading the race, do you try and break it down into thirds? Do you do a third of the race, the second third, and the last third? And what do you do if you're down the back of the pack, you don't quite make it up there? Do you come into the long game? Do you do the short game down? What is your take on that?
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. No doubt all these teams are going to be using the spotters to help work out where they want to accomplish those stops over the course of the run tonight. As we said, Mosport's a very small circuit, 3.9 kilometres, not a lot of time to get those pit stops in. But if you go too early and you don't have enough of a buffer, you're going to find yourself mid-pack, probably towards the back end, and that could compromise as you continue on through the race. So it's going to be key trying to find those little clear pockets of air to pop out into and make advantage on that as you go through.
Yeah, that's and it's a hard choice here. I mean, tonight, what have we got? 38 laps, so it's not a big race either. It's a bit of a shorter circuit tonight too, and we're going to see a lot of tyre degradation, I think, because like you say, they're not just sitting on one side. Those long sweeping corners are really going to put a lot of pressure on the outside tyres. So we'll see how they go tonight and what the teams do. Dyson, though, is getting his outlap done now. You see the Phoenix Smokers, Simrig's entry. How good does this car look this season? And we know he's got the smoker going on the background, ready for a feast after tonight. Hopefully it's a celebration feast somewhere on the podium. You never know. You just never know, but he's getting ready. They're coming around the final couple of corners through the S's here. They'll go around turn number 10, the final corner on the circuit, and he will start. What is his single lap qualifier? Let's have a look at this one. In pre-qualifying, he was 10th position. Now he's going to have to hold on to this one. We're just going to have a look at some of the sector times here. We're looking in the 29s for sector 1. Some of the quicker times. We'll have to wait and see what Dyson does as he pops around there. Comes over this little crest here, and that's what we see a lot. Don't we see at this Canadian Tire Motorsport Park? It goes up and down. So you go over these crests, you've got to know exactly where you're putting the car because you can't see it as you come around. Just waiting for the sector times to come up to see how he's going in sector number 1. Number 41, Phoenix Smokers entry. He joined up with Adam Briggs as well and the Simrigs DPR boys. Pulls up. This is a tight corner, double right-hander there too, Dan, which is very tricky as you come up the hill. Very hard to see that second right-hander. So a lot of guys only using second gear because I noticed if you drop back to first gear, a lot of wheel spin coming out of that one.
Well, not only have you got the wheel spin to contend, so you've got to watch the unloaded side of the car. The right front tyre gets very light there. It's easy to drag a brake and have a big problem. As we watch Dyson continue on the lap up through the end of the straight there into that big sweeping right-hander. It's a purple through sector 2, so 28.8 for him. Let's see what he's able to do as he gets across the line. But the car's looking very, very good.
Yeah, slides it out there on the final corner. You got to be careful there as you come off the ripple strip. What's he do? He goes to number 2 with a 1:16.25. Tom Freer gets himself in the top 10 no matter what. He has guaranteed himself a spot in the top 10. Thomas Hinzer, a man who we spoke with last season, says his qualifying isn't his strongest point, but he seems to be very consistent throughout the race. We see him a lot of times. However, in the last time he raced in one of these short races, or I shouldn't say last time, it was a couple of races ago, he actually had some issues. That was back at the Red Bull at Chicago, sorry, the 150. Did not stick to the compulsory two-stop strategy, and that hurt him. He ended up disqualified from that race. So if you're looking to try and improve tonight, maybe he can get in the top 6 or 7 if he can really put that foot down and hold on to this lap. And he's on it now. This is his qualifying. He's 1 lap shot to make this happen for Thomas Hinzer, Henry James Racing entry.
Yeah, so far the car looks really, really good as he works his way through that double right-hander there. The pace a little bit down compared to Andrew Dyson, who just went through before. But yeah, all in all, the car looking very good. Hopefully he's not going to have a repeat of, as you say, what happened at Chicago for him, though.
That's all right. He heads down the Mario and ready straight away. Down the back here. Couple more corners. You've got to get through these S's. It's quite a quick right-hander here before you get on the brakes. Left-hander into turn number 9. Actually flows really nicely through here. Try and hold on. Just you can't grab too much curb here because it will bounce you out, and it's very easy to spin the tyres. Nice job there from Thomas Hinzer on the exit there. That was clean. Where does he end up with the times? Having a look at him, goes P3 with a 1:16.31 right behind Andrew Dyson. So Tom Freer now gets in the top 9. That is a fantastic result from him, as Borgie, who didn't have the week he wanted last week at Imola, that was got pushed back, a few incidents there. He just really got stuck in the middle with some bad qualifying, and it hurt him. He is out and he's in this top 10 shootout. Let's see how he goes in the single lap qualifier of the RaceKraft Simulations. Of course, entry of Brian Borg, and he'll be trying to put down a very impressive lap considering his teammates in practice were super fast.
Well, yeah, and the yardstick for him at the moment is Cory Shepard, who we're going to see right at the conclusion of this qualifying event. So we'll keep an eye to see how he goes. The car looks very, very good, as we've seen traditionally from these guys here at Premier Racing. What he's able to do is he comes down up towards this double right-hander. The car looks good. It sets pretty nicely in there. And again, very good control as he gets through that very tight right-hander and onto the back straight. It was a quick time through Sector 1, one of the quickest ones we've seen so far. So this could be on for a good lap for him.
Let's see if he can bring it home. It's looking pretty sweet at the moment for Brian Borg, the 017, of course, Ford lover. He absolutely loves his Fords, and a big Johnson fan, of course, from way back. Normally driving a truck throughout the week, but gets behind the simulator, does quite a few kilometres down there in Victoria. So he's had a fair bit of time in the sim, I would say, in lockdown. Had a bit more opportunity to get behind the wheel. Let's check him out on this one. Oh, he has to correct the steering there. Slides the car. That's going to hurt him on the exit speed. What does he end up with? Goes to 8th position there with the Premier Racing Team, RaceKraft Simulations entry of Brian Borg there with a 1:16.50. So he's back in 8th position behind Ken Latter. Now, just remembering that we've still got 7 cars to go. So he could possibly go back 7 more positions to 15 from there. And that won't be the qualifying he was looking for. And, you know, we're only talking a couple of tenths of a second. It could have all been in that last corner. Slight mistake there, Dan.
Well, yeah, I think you'll find that slide that he had and then the transgression up onto the grass really hurt what he was going to do through that final sector. Just looking as he got across the line there, so it was an 18.3 to get the car across, and the guys before him that went through, Andrew Dyson was an 18.21 and an 18.24 for him. So 3/300ths of a second there loss as he ran that car up over the dirt.
Yeah, just trying to see if any of our drivers are stronger in some points. I mean, we look at Tom Freer's sector times. I mean, that was obviously his last lap, actually, I'm seeing up on screen. But, yeah, some of those guys are a little bit slower in Sector 1 and 2, and some are a bit faster in Sector 3. But there's not much in it between all 3. It's not like we see some dominance in one sector. So we'll have to wait and see how Adam Briggs now gets his opportunity. Like I say, last week won't be happy with how they got around. And unfortunately, Briggs has been pushed back in the championship a bit, back to 6th position at the moment. So he'll be looking to try and improve on his qualifying time there as they come around. And we check this one out as We just got to make sure. Actually, the other thing you got to remember with a single lap shootout is if you go to the outer bounds of the track, you grab a wall, you do something like that, that can cause you not to record a time, which really is going to hurt you. And that's the risk you have with a single lap shootout, isn't it, Dan? Because if you don't record a time, you go to the back of the field.
And that just makes your night even harder from there when you consider that, you know, the field tonight, 42 cars out there. You don't want to be at the back on such a small technical circuit like this one. But so far for Briggs, as he works the way around, it was a purple sector 2 there, or sector 1 for him. So he's on a bit of a charge here at the moment, 29.3. Down through that double right-handed car looks very, very good again as he gets the power down nicely. This is going to be a good conclusion to this run and might be the stepping stones that he needs to get back up onto to pace for the rest of the championship.
Yeah, and you can see the name already coming out next, Jordan Ross, and he was very fast in practice as well. So watch out for these guys. Adam Briggs up, who wanted to make up for last week, and can he come out in front of Dyson? It's his teammate, but they battle it out hard. They team up in the endurance. They got a great battle when it comes on track. Second sector, purple now, so that means he's the fastest time so far, 28.80. So he is flying in the Simrigs entry, comes onto the main straight, goes out, uses all the ripple strip. It's not a bad run here. Purple sector time, you think he's going to go 1 here, and he does. Goes right up the top with a 1:16.03. Ever so close, a 1:16.027, actually so close to cracking into those 1:15. So the question is, Dan, are we going to see a 1:15 out there in these conditions?
Oh, look, absolutely. You'll definitely see it. Wait till we get through these guys as they continue on. I'm still very surprised it took us until our 4th runner tonight in the shootout to get past Tom Freer. That was a hell of a time that he's managed to put down so far.
Well, it's Jordan Ross who's on track from Synergy Sim Racing, and mate, we know Jordan, he loves his jet ski racing. He's gone all over the world doing that, but he also loves being behind the simulator and getting on with things. He's had some up and down races, really. He's had some unfortunate luck. I'm not going to call him a lucky man when it comes to racing. You know, someone will take a dive, he ends up about 4 or 5 positions back, and ends up down the back. But last week, fought his way back. It was another tough one for him last week, but he managed to work his way back into 6th position last week, so he's holding on to a little bit of a position in the championship at the moment, in 3rd position, just in front of James Scott, who hasn't showed out to all of them. So we'll have to see what goes on there. Green sector's up. We haven't seen purple sector times, which means that we wouldn't expect this to be the number 1. We're talking, it's probably 1500ths of a second down at the moment, about 1500ths of a second. Will that get him into P2? Maybe he'll get past Tom Freer. Can he make that happen? No, he's going to go back into position at number 4 with a 1:16.26, so it is close. Tom Freer with a 1:7, a 2:5 for Dyson, a 2:6 for Ross. Hinzer is a 3:1. Jordan Sinney is a 3:5. How close is that, Dan? 0.2 of a second, and we've got like 5 competitors.
Yeah, it just goes to show the strength of the field. Obviously, all these guys put a huge amount of time in to get the setups where they need them, and it's really starting to come to ahead for these guys as we watch who we got out there at the moment. Damian Johnston having a run around at the moment. It's very competitive, and we're going to see that right throughout the rest of this championship.
So Damian Johnson, who is pushing hard in this single lap qualifier, he's actually in pre-qualifying he got position 5, but his best qualifying position, I do believe, is about P6. So could he be in for his best qualifying position so far? Because throughout the race he's very good. He's already down a few hundreds of a second at the moment, so he's going to have to push on hard. It's hurt him in the first sector time there with a 1:29.16. He'll need to improve on that one because Briggsy he's not too far off actually. He's getting closer and closer, but it's green sectors. We haven't seen any purple sectors at this point.
No, well, he is
down again.
He is 2/10 down, and you saw him have a big slide there off that double right hander. We'll look at the time as he gets across. It is a 1:16.3, so that drops him down to 8th position. So not a great run there, and I think you'll find the big loss that he had was all due to getting that car off that double right-handed complex with that big slide that he had.
Yeah, quite a few Synergy Sim Racing entries we've got on board now, don't we? Jack Boyd now, another one. JK Science Synergy Sim Racing ranks. And look at the young gun. Got the big hairdo as well. I mean, he's been in lockdown. He hasn't been able to get a haircut. You can tell by the photo. So he's getting around. We'll see how he goes. Jack Boyd started at position number 4 in pre-qualifying. So this is our 4th last car to come out in the single lap shootout qualifying here tonight. We go under the Continental Bridge, and he is pushing on at the moment. Purple sector time in sector number 1, a 29.11. That is just under Adam Briggs. So he's pushing on really, really hard. What can he do in sector number 2? Didn't look too bad of an exit there, Dan.
The car looked really good getting through there. Rode the curbs nicely, got the power down beautifully, and we'll see what he's able to do now as he heads down the long back straight. Look for this later on in the race when we get to racing conditions, because this is going to be the spot where all these passes are going to come. It's a green for him at 28.9, so just marginally slower than what we saw from the guys ahead.
Yeah, he's still got a little bit in there. It's definitely going to put him in the mix here at the moment. It's going to come down between him and Briggsy, I would say. Maybe Tom Freer, but he's going to have to get this exit done right. Uses all the curb. Looks clean this time. He goes over, and where does he end up? He goes up to P7, so lost quite a lot in that final sector time, actually, from what we see. So a couple of tenths in that last sector, and that's pushed him all the way back to P7 for Jack Boyd in the Synergy Sim Racing entry as Rick Kuznetsov now comes around to start his flying lap. Of course, got on board with the guys from Premier Racing Team and RaceKraft Simulations, and he's, well, I watched him in practice, and he cut some really nice times. And obviously not under the pressure he's got now. He's got one chance to put this time together. Can he try and simulate what he did earlier? I know he's in the very low 116s in the teens there, which will put him in about P2, P3 if he can do that. Of course, he qualified position number 3 in the pre-qualifying. That's why we've got him up on our screen right now. He's our third last competitor. Goes around the sweeping left-hander there, up through, obviously, into this little double right-hander. Now we go down the Mario Andretti straight. Gets a nice drive out of there. Didn't hear the revs come up. It sounded like a nice clean exit there, Dan.
Yeah, the car state was really good. Didn't get too far into the rev limiter, but he's putting together a very nice time. And I mean, Rick's been a great little competitor since coming into the championship last season and progressing on nicely. Another green sector as he comes through. A little bit of a slide on entry. We'll see how this is going to hurt him, but he's hugging that corner nicely, using all the track. How does it look? The car's settled.
Yeah, I think the slide on entry is not going to hurt him as much as the slide on exit. How does he go in this final? Actually, you had to see him correct the steering a little bit there. He's going to push on over the start-finish line. Let's see what the time is. P6 there, and he goes a 116.35. So 116.35, and he's 3 tenths off. So it's the second sector there by the looks of it where it has not helped him out compared to where we see Briggsy and people like Jordan Ross. Been very quick, obviously. Tom Freer and Andrew Dyson there in the middle there. So at the moment, it's Adam Briggs number 1, Tom Freer in 2nd, Andrew Dyson 3rd, Jordan Ross 4th, Thomas Hinzer in 5. There, your top 5. And coming out now is the man last week who almost took it to James Scott. Maybe if he'd been on the same pit stop strategy, we would have seen a really tight race at the end, and it would have been impressive to watch because I thought he might have had him. And tonight it's Jackson Sizzlin Harlow. What can he do in his single lap shootout? He's on his flying lap at the moment.
And it's already a purple sector 1 there at 29.08, so doing very good. A little bit of an exit issue for him trying to get that car down. And for any of the viewers who are just tuning in a little bit late, may not heard of the news, new colours for Jackson going forward with the changes into Synergy Sim Racing from United Sim Sports. But this is a good lap for him so far. What's he able to do now as he heads down the long straight in towards the big sweeper there? It's a green. It's a little bit slower at 28.83, so a thousandth of a second off what Adam Briggs was able to do.
Yeah, we see green, but it all comes down to this exit here. What can he do? Slides it a little bit, but it doesn't look like he lost too much pace. How does he get the drive out of there, waiting for the time to go? P2, Jackson Sizzlin Harlow in the Synergy Sim Racing entry, all thanks to JK Science. We'll go P2 at the moment with a 116.13, just in front of Tom Freer. But this is it, the Mr. Antenna entry. The man who came second more times than anyone else last season. He's yo-yoed around here in season number 11, but he's managed to get himself 3/3 and a win. The last win came in his endurance thereafter. We had some disqualifications and some penalties after the final flag at the Red Bull Ring, so he's leading the championship at the moment. Cory Shepard there, he's got a 100-point lead so far, 4 rounds in. This is round number 5. What can he do? We'll wait for the sector times to come up because you'd expect this to be very, very quick from Cory Shepard and Premier Racing. Looks like we might go purple sector, and we're cut into the 28s in sector 1. So that is fast. Already pushing. Oh no, he's made a mistake. And off track, and I'm assuming going that far off, Dan, that's probably going to give him a 0.
Yeah, that'll be an aborted lap on that one. It looks like all 4 tyres off the road there. Caught the dirt a lot going through there, and that's unfortunate for him because he was on a flying lap, as we said, a tenth of a second quicker on the way through.
Which means Briggsy should be on pole position. We're not going to call it. We're going to we think he's going to be on pole position at the moment. We're just going to wait to hear final from race control and wait till we see what goes on. Of course, Cory Shepard just taking this easy. He's going to pull in. He knows it's run and done. He's going to have to come from the back of the pack. He's going to have a lot of work to do tonight. It's going to be interesting, remembering there's 2 compulsory pit stops here. So if he can take advantage of that and use that to maybe give himself some very clean air. Remembering, you don't need to pit on this one. You've got enough fuel. You can make the tyres go the distance if you really, really have to. So he can choose to pit really, really early and just get some very fresh, clean air and maybe just make that up by pushing forward with the times. And maybe if we see a safety car in there, just maybe at the right opportunistic time, maybe Cory Shepard can make a whole lot of positions. He might be Mr. Talianchich tonight, Dan. He might be the man coming from the back and making all the moves.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, he's definitely got a smart head and strategy mindset to be able to do that. I think this will actually work out very nicely for him. As you say, he starts off the back of the grid. As long as he can avoid the opening lap incidents that we expect or we hope don't happen, but we know may eventuate, he can come in, get those stops done. He's got no one behind him to worry about. So it's not going to hurt him on the way back up through getting out of those pit stops, which is not going to be the same for any of the guys further up the field. So this could be a little bit of a blessing in disguise.
Well, let's hope it is for Cory Shepard. We know he works hard. He's super talented when it comes to sim racing. And I think I read during the week, he's actually having a crack at being on the Supercar Esports Series too. So he's got a lot of talent there, and they're pushing hard to try and see if they can get him in there. Young gun and Mr. Antenna entry there will have some work cut out for him tonight, but he can do it. But it's Briggsy who's going to lead us off. So how good is that going to be? Shout out to our sponsors, of course, Jinx Shifters for AOSC11 and RaceKraft Simulations over in Western Australia. Johnny and the boys over there. Hopefully, Chris Mitchell's there listening in tonight. I know he's been trying out a few of the new bits of gear they're getting over there as well. I'm putting through a couple of blogs there to really showcase some of the equipment and some of the steering and that they're going through some new parts. Simrings.com, I know they supply a lot of parts over there to RaceKraft Simulations as well. Shout out to AJ Insurance Services, and of course, watch the incident limits tonight, boys, because AJ Insurance Services will be all over it. Track Cancel Gourmets, Acuta, of course, for all your rigging equipment and communications equipment. Go check them out, Acuta Equipment. Race Circuit Art Australia. And, of course, our friends over in the US of A, Team 126 Racing. And don't forget our Shootout King, where we get all these single-lap shootout rounds that we've got. And I think there's 6 of them from memory. We put the points together. You know, if you come first, second, or third, we put the points together, and they're going to give themselves an iRacing voucher at the end of the year for the Shootout King. Well, thanks to Team 126 Racing. It is a fantastic night tonight. Set up. The track temperatures look pretty good, actually, tonight, Dan, to get us underway here in Canada.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. Very comfortable conditions for the guys, 18 degrees ambient, 32 out on track. So it's going to be a nice run for these guys. As I say, 3.9 kilometres earlier on, partially cloudy. The tyres, as you said, going to hang in there very, very nicely throughout the course of this run. It's just going to come down to those pit stops when you want to play it. Opening thoughts, how do we think the run down through the double right-hander on the first lap's going to go? The guy's going to need to be cautious unless we're going to see a little bit of 2x2 action going through there.
Yeah, I'm really struggling for the guys on the outside. I think if you start on the inside of the starting row, you've probably got the advantage there because it gets a little bit loose on the outside. We may start off with some reset track conditions, hopefully, but it's not as grippy on the outside. I did a few laps earlier in the week, and if you miss that turning point, you got to watch out because once you're on the grass, you're gone. Luckily, there is a fair bit of runoff there, so if the boys can handle themselves, but I think we might see a couple of people out on that grass on the first corner, and that won't set them up as you've got to shift the weight of the car there to go in the left-hander as you go around Clayton Corner and turn number 2. So it'll be very interesting to see what everyone does, how anxious they are. Obviously, we only got 38 laps here tonight, so pretty important, obviously, to be very aggressive from the start of the race. You're not going to want to hold on for too long because you're not going to have a lot of laps. We're getting around it very quick. We expect to be, less than 120s to get around every lap, so less than a minute 20, 38 laps. It doesn't give you a lot of time, of course, a 150-kilometre race. We haven't been here since season number 8, and the last one here was James Scott, who is not here tonight, which is very, very interesting because he has had some prior commitments. He did say that this season, but he's still up there in the championship with a whole heap of points. That's what makes it very interesting for James Scott because, surprisingly, considering he hasn't been here very as often as he would have liked to, he's sitting in 4th in the championship.
And that's working out pretty good, realistically. I mean, as you say, not being able to commit to all the rounds, although he's the 3-time series champion. So, I mean, he's won quite a few of them. It's good to see the other guys now getting a chance. But their race pace throughout the events that they have been able to turn up to for Altus has been still very, very strong.
Yeah, it definitely has been. So tonight, of course, like we say, 38 laps. Incident limit will be 20. Otherwise, you're going to get a drive-through penalty there. And you don't want to do it on the last lap because if you don't get a chance to have a drive-through penalty, they'll have to bring a time penalty in. Let's have a look at how it's going to stack up on the row. Adam Briggs is going to be out of number 1 alongside Jackson Harlow. Then it'll be Tom Freer on row number 2 with Andrew Dyson alongside. Jordan Ross on row number 3 in position number 5 with Thomas Hinz. That's a really good starting point for Thomas Hinz out of P6. Rick Kuznetsov dropped back to row number 4 there with Geordie Sinney alongside, who's been super fast this year. Jack Boyd in row number 5 with Michael Whiting alongside. Damian Johnson now starts out of row number 6 with Kyle Stokes in position number 12 on the outside. Then it goes back to Ken Latter in row 7 with Brian Borg pushed all the way back after that qualifying time in the single lap shootout in P14. Sean Lindsell now in 15, Todd Hayne in 16, Stephen Kokoschke in 17, Blake Neck in 18, Troy Maguire in 19, Jacob Knight in 20, 21 will be Blake Delaney, Matthew Brunt in 22, and then it's back to row number 12. Brenton Hobson out of 23, Greg Sharp out of 24. As we continue on here, Jamie Dyke will be out of position 25, Rob Bowden alongside, Christian Smart in 27, Adam Hayne back in 28, David Coleman and Craig Anspach will be on row number 15, Nicholas Timors there in 31, Justin Clayton alongside in 32, Nathan Moore in 33, Stephen Varga alongside in position 34, Tyson McAvoy in 35 with Sebastian Tixier all the way back in 36, who has been shown signs of pace throughout this series. Then it's David Kimmond in 37 with Cory Shepard all the way back. So Cory Shepard starts out of row number 19. He has a lot of work. Michael Taliancic comes back to P39 with Sebastian Flock alongside. So that's our race, I do believe. Those our last two, I believe, are our safety car drivers there, if we need to call upon them. But Cory Shepard out of row number 19 with Michael Taliancic. Michael Taliancic just likes starting off the back, doesn't he, Dan? It's just a challenge.
He enjoys it. He doesn't put a lot of effort into the qualifying, but come race conditions, though, he picks up the ball and gets on with business, and we've seen him like a hot knife through butter.
All right, about to get started. The engines are revving up. The lights are up. You can see him. Briggsy starts off from the front row. Can he hold on to this? He's on the inside line. Oh, a bit of tyre smoke there as they all go. Oh, check him out. They're 3 and 4 wide down the back. I'm trying to see who that is going. It might be Kuznetsov there left behind a little bit, is it? Or Kokoschke moving back down the back. We expect to see a few people out in the grass here. How does it look as they get around? A few of them using the ripple strip, but they look like they're holding on. Now a dive already from Harlow. He's down the inside. Can't get the move done. Briggsy holds onto that one, but he's showing his intent, isn't he, Harlow? He is being super aggressive. We see him 3 wide in the background. Lap number 1 here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, or Mosport as it's known, and it is already starting to get aggressive on lap 1 to see where they settle down. 2 pit stops tonight they have to make, as we see them all in the background there. Who's that off in the grass moving around?
I think that's Blake Delaney off in the grass there.
That is unfortunate for Delaney there already, and hopefully that he hasn't been punted off there. Hopefully that's maybe he's just gone wide and grabbed some grass, because that's going to hurt for him, but he might have to get back to the pits there. We'll check him out there. Dyson now is another one who's hold on to Jordan Ross. Geordie Sinney's up 2 positions. Jack Boyd up 2 positions. It's Thomas Hinz there who lost his positions and gone back from P6 to P8. So wasn't the start he wanted. Probably one of the best qualifying positions I've seen him in the season and a half I've been here. So very interesting, Thomas Hinz there, and he's done well tonight. Let's check him out though. Briggs, oh, they're coming in the pits here, Dan, too. A whole heap of them decided we're going to do this on lap number 1.
And I think that's a smart move. They get themselves out. It's a lot of the pursuit sim racing cars coming in for this stop as well. They're going to drop themselves right down to the back, use that clear track and get back underway. So watch these guys go through. We have got a couple of slow-moving cars just getting back up to speed on circuit. Looks like Sebastian Tixier involved in a little bit of a moment there as well with Henry King. Those guys back in the lane now to get those stops completed, however. So we've got the first 10 cars already down the lane, knocking off one of those mandatory 2 stops tonight.
And like you say, it's probably a really good decision to make if you're down the back of the pack and you want to keep some clean air. Now we've got to look at Dyson's got to watch out for Jordan Ross. And Jordan Ross just showing the nose on the side there and seeing if he can make a little bit of an effort. We really saw in these sprint races last week that when you're leading, if you're going to be defensive, you're going to bring someone else into the fight. But there's always a 3rd or 4th car ready to take you on, and that's what we see with Dyson here. He's really got to put the elbows out there and be defensive, and Jordan Ross can take advantage of that, but look out behind him. Sinney, Boyd, Hinz. They're the guys that will take advantage if something goes wrong between these two while they battle it out. Here we see Harlow, though, puts down the inside there and says to Briggs, watch out, I want to come through. Can't make it. Tom Freer on the outside. Can he hold on to this one as well? Looks like he can't. He's going to have to bring that out. Now, Ross down the inside here. He's doing everything he can to try and get past Dyson, but Dyson just putting the car in the right spot, being a little bit defensive there, but staying quick as well, just to make sure that Jordan Ross can't make that move.
Yeah, it's a great run early on for the two teams up the front. So we've got DPR and Synergy Sim Racing commanding the first 7 spots in the running order at the moment as we watch the guys continue on. Dyson's been escorted a little wide there, trying to get a move done on Freya, who's fallen right now back off the back there of Jackson Susan Harlow. And he's going to get a bit of a touch-up for his measure down into that final corner. So a good move there from Dyson not to rotate the car, just pulls out of that, but it will compromise him on the run up the straight.
Well, Dyson's stuck in a synergy sandwich, isn't he? There's 3 of them on the inside of him, and he has absolutely no... Is that 4? No.
They're 4. They're line of stern coming through its NASCAR style down the straight.
Yeah, poor Dyson, he's been pushed to the out. Oh, no, he gets a bit of a nudge there, slides the car. Doesn't look like that's going to bring him unstuck, though. The Phoenix Smokers car is going to hold that position there. Jordan Ross is the one pushing through, though, over his teammates. We see them going into the pits in the background as well. They've decided we're going to get in early there. And who's that? Jack Boyd deciding.
Well, Boyd's come in, and while we're watching that too, Matty, we've had a change for the lead as well with Harlow getting through on Briggs there.
Checking out a replay here, though. Cory Shepard, who started off row number 19 right at the back, the Mr. Antenna.
That was into his teammate, I think.
That's not what you want to have this early in the race.
No. I think that might have been Kokoschki, actually. That was, or Texia, one of those two. But it was definitely one of the another one of the Premier cars.
All right, we'll check a replay out, and this is where the change to the lead happened. Of course, Harlow there was been showing his nose at every corner, just his intent. Briggs knows exactly what it is. How long can you hold him out for? And there he goes, makes the move. Nice clean move there as they come around. Looks like that's going, is that going into turn number 4 there? Oh, sorry, turn number 8 and 9, coming onto the main straight maybe by the looks there. So Harlow there, watch for him to lead away down after last week. It was super impressive. And I'd expect that he's going to try and make a couple of seconds gap there pretty quickly. Checking out Brenton Hobson at the moment, though, from Synergy Sim Racing. And with all the pit stops they've had so far, he is up 9 positions. Keeping in mind he has not done a pit stop either. So there's been quite a few people that started in front of him, as you say that, on cue, into the pits.
Well, he's listening to the broadcast, mate. He's pulled you up on that one, and you got that one wrong now. He's in the lane, but he did have a little bit of damage too on that left front that might have been as a result of some contact there. Don't think it slowed him up too much at all, but getting that taken care of. As we have a look at the guys still getting on with business. Ken Ladder's got Kyle Stokes all around him trying to make a move, and right behind that as well, you've got Sean Linsell, Todd Haynes now getting involved in that little 4-car scrap. So as you say, once you get into those battles, you bring in the guy just behind and maybe a couple of cars back as well. While all that's going on, Shepard is flying out there. He's got himself some track real estate after that earlier pit stop. It was a 1:16.6 for him last time by, quickest car out on circuit.
Yeah, he's going to have to do something, isn't he, to push on. I mean, he's got to get the pit stop strategy exactly right, but he needs to do those lap times. And I think for Cory, it's all a matter of getting that clean air as we go on with Christian Smarts, another one of the Synergy Sim Racing. And we got like about, is this like Holden's versus Fords in the supercars where we've got like 80% of the field are just a one type, 80% of the Synergy Sim Racing?
Well, yes and no. Don't forget, we had a lot of Fords come in earlier on in the hands of Premier. They came in on the conclusion of lap 1 to knock over the first of their pit stop, predominantly Ford-based team, those guys. So they've fallen down a little bit out the order. Look for them to come back through, as we say. But up the front, the guys are still looking pretty good. Keep an eye on Thomas Hinzer. He's representing another Ford there for the guys and doing a pretty good job still after that qualifying run.
Here we go. The boys are trying to sort it out. Back down the pack at the moment. And Christian Smart is, sorry, we go back to Brunt there. Matthew Brunt, who's just on the back of this pack. There's obviously a bit of contact in front. Is that Coleman, maybe? Is that Coleman who's hit the wall? I think it is. Yeah, that's going to hurt him, David Coleman, from the Fishy Motorsports entry.
And a really tricky spot to be parked sideways on the track there, as you got everyone just funneling through trying to get sight their entry point for turn 2.
Yeah, let's hope they can get that out without too much damage to everyone else. That Ansbach just leaving us a little bit of a pack. I'm just trying to have a look a bit further down to see there's that Nicholas Timors might have been the one who made a bit of contact with the pink car. That might have been the person who just made that little bit of contact, and we'll wait to see what race control, how they adjudicate that one as well. But this is a nice little train going on, I should say, at the moment. And of course, right in the middle of this is one of the half the Hayne train, Adam Hayne, himself and Todd Hayne. Todd Hayne just up a little bit further in the Taipan Esports entry, but Adam Hayne there, you can see he's following Rob Bowden and Christian Smart. It looks like we're going to have Christian Smart try and go around the outside of Bowden. Bowden gets defensive. He's already got the war wounds on the side of this car. Can he get on the inside? I don't know if he can. No. Ansbach is going to, sorry, Rob Bowden in the Tanked SRT entry, and now he's going to go in the pits. Remembering we do have one fast repair in this one, Dan.
Well, we do, and keep an eye on this because everyone is going to funnel in the lane here. We've just had word that safety car has been deployed. The top three didn't come in. Everyone else, though, getting a chance to knock that first stop off. That, I think, was due to the stuck car of David Coleman down on that entry to turn 2.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting, of course. The Jinx Shifters Acuta safety car now is going to come out on track. Driven by our fantastic stewards tonight. Could be Henry King. Could be Scott Bartigan. We don't know. It could be one of the boys. They're driving the, obviously, the safety car. It will come out. And this is probably an advantage for some of those guys who read that the safety car was coming out. Got the early word, pulled in just then like we saw on track. Whereas our leaders are out there and they've still got to get around and complete this lap. For some of the guys who have already done one pit stop, maybe they can come and complete their second pit stop now down and just try and make it all the way to the end. I mean, it's a risk on tyres, but it can be done.
Well, it is, but it's not a bad move here. I'm actually keeping an eye on the guys that have already come through for the second stop. So we've got Texie has come in again. Shepard, Ross, Shepard's in. Jordan Ross is in. Nathan Moore's in. David Kidman. So we've got quite a lot of guys coming to knock over those extra stops. And for Cory Shepard, while he started way down, he's now got the 2 stops out of the way. He's good to run now to the conclusion of this race.
And I think that that's probably a really good thing to probably take a risk on at the moment if you're Cory Shepard. I mean, if you don't take that risk now, you could get caught up in a battle later on. Maybe you don't worry about that. You just go, mate, I've got to conserve my tyres. I know what I can do. Watch it and just try and knock out the last 30 laps of this race. You've got the fuel. You've done the pit stops. You've got nothing to worry about. If we have another safety car and everyone decides to dive in the pits, you go straight to P1. So I think it's a good risk there from Cory Shepard. He's also got the skill probably to be able to manage those tyres in the back half of this race, and that's probably where the risk is going to be. It's going to be in the last 6 to 8 laps where we're going to see a few guys come in on the late pit stop strategy, and they're going to have fresh tyres in those remaining laps. So here we go. There's quite a few that have made their second stop too, Dan.
Yeah, a lot of guys have come through. So of the cars that are in there, we had Brian Borg. Who else do we have? Jack Boyd's come through. Craig Anspach in there. Sebastian Texia. Cory Shepard, as we said. Casey Mann, Sebastian Flock, all coming through. Jordan Ross has gone for his second stop as well. Now he's just got into the lane to complete that as well. And it looks like safety car now has picked up our leaders. So Harlow, after coming through to get that stop completed, has retained the lead of the race over Adam Briggs.
What's going to be interesting is Jack Boyd, who was, he's lost a few positions now, but he was super quick early on. He's done his 2 pit stops, as I see it moving around on my screen a little bit.
Who's hit? One's had an accident on the back
Brent Hobson there as well. He's done 2 pit stops as well. Michael Taliantis just taken his early pit stops. He'll be on the same strategy as Cory Shepard. Sebastian Flock, Casey Mann, there's a lot of them there who've taken those 2 pit stops and are going to run out then. I'm interested to see how Jordan Ross is going to go, because it looks like he may be behind Cory Shepard, and now they've both done their pit stops. They're on the same strategy, and they've got to take this all the way home.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a good move for those guys. They'll work their way through nice and methodically. They've got to be careful, though, as we've already seen guys having some issues running, just trying to stick the nose in. If you're not cautious there, you will find the wall. And as we saw from the opening lap replay as well, we saw Cory Shepard make a little bit of a mistake there and ending up conjoined with his teammates. So hopefully he gets away with that one and presses on. I did see too, while everyone was closing up under the back of the safety car, we had a little bit of a moment down on the back straight with the off tracks really starting to light up. I think a few guys just missing the markers or not watching the guys ahead, and really having to find the anchors to avoid some big collisions. But we did hear too as well, safety car will be in at the conclusion of this lap.
I think that's Blake Neck out there in the background. You see no bonnet on. So the car 380 is it in position number 15. He's got the bonnets missing, carrying quite a few repairs there. I'm just trying to have a look, see if he's had one pit stop there. Not quite sure if he's already used a fast repair. We'll have to find out about that one. But yeah, there's quite a bit to hold on to in that car. Hopefully he can bring that home from there. We have seen quite a few engines detonate throughout the series already. We've had a couple of engines go. We did see at the end of last season too with the rebuild of the supercars in iRacing that it's quite possible to happen, especially on the downshift there, pushing them really hard. Hopefully with a short race he will bring that car home, or maybe he's just got that fast repair up his sleeve. Not too worried about where he ends up at the moment. Of course, he's up 3 positions. quite a few people you see up, but like you say, have not taken that second pit stop, where we have seen quite a few. And leading the second pit stop strategy looks like Jack Boyd and Brian Borg right up there, when the first of the 2 cars there to have done 2 pit stops already. So watch to see where they all end up when everyone else. And it's going to come down to opportunity, I think, here, Dan, whether we see another safety car or whether they can just get away. Because remembering Cory Shepard, and of course now we see Jordan Ross, it's a very big risk to stay in the back half of the pack. Although you've done your 2 pit stops and you don't have to come in again, it's very easy to get tangled up in racing there, because there's going to be 3 and 4 wides around some of these corners, as we do see, and varying degrees of speed between the drivers depending on their ability.
For sure, and they're going to have to be very cautious of how they get around there. We saw a great run on the opening lap, not too many incidents involved in that, but as Harlow now brings the train up to the start-finish line, we'll see whether the guys can repeat that again. Looks like he's put the foot down to the power now, and Harlow getting away nicely.
And Harlow last week spoke in our interview. He was really upset about his pit stop strategy. Wish he'd done something different. So tonight he won't want to be making that same mistake and causing an upset through probably not the correct strategy, I suppose. He'll be thinking about that the entire race. Hopefully that doesn't play on the back of his mind, because we don't want it to take away from the race pace that he does have. Because look at him already open up a little bit of a gap over Briggsy. Dyson now in 3rd position in the Phoenix Smokers entry. Tom Frere back to 4th. 5th is Damian Johnson. Geordie Sinney there in 6th. Hinzer in 7th. Varga 8th. Ladder 9th. And rounding out our top 10 is, of course, Michael Whiting in the Fishing Motorsports entry.
And so far, so been a really good start from everyone. The single file train continuing its way through. We're having a look at the guys now down onto that long back straight again, and a nice little bit of a gap just starting to stretch between everyone there as there's a move down into the hairpin. That is Jack Boyd getting a move done on Greg Sharp. Nice pass down the inside, and look for Boyd to continue working his way further forward. Dyson just a little bit of no man's land here at the middle. He's not on the back of the top 2, but he's not being caught yet by Frere and Johnson.
Well, he's just staying back there, because normally they're 3 and 5, aren't they, Briggsy and Dyso? And Dyson's had a good run so far in the championship, currently sitting 2nd at the moment, 100 points behind Cory Shepard. Tonight will be very interesting for him. He needs to keep a cool, calm head. Although he needs to try and finish up the front of the pack, he needs to also probably think about where Cory Shepard is. I know it's early on in the championship, but how good would it to be leading that championship just for a round or 2? Maybe the Phoenix Smokers up the front, because we know the celebration of his place. Some nice smoked meat afterwards. It's going to, look, I wish I could get there. I wish I wasn't in lockdown.
Well, hey, he did extend the offer to us at the start of the championship there to come down and crack on with the beers and the cooked meat. So all the best. Hopefully we'll see him continue on forward tonight, and we'll try and work out a way to get down there at the back end of this championship. As we see a little bit more battling further down the field. Borg now getting through on Greg Sharp. Jacob Knight getting very racy as well, looking for a move. We'll see whether he's able to slide one down the inside into the double right-hander here, where we saw Greg get past just a lap ago, but Knight just a little far behind. But he's had some contact from behind. That was Adam Haynes, I think it was, or Brenton Hobson maybe getting into the back there and just giving him a little bit of a shove, and drops him down 4 or 5 spots.
Assisting him with the slide. It's called assistance. As we get around and we have a look up there, Stephen Varga just getting overtaken by Canelato, it looks like, in the Alcohol DPR entry. Just gets that move done and moves himself up into P number 8. Varga up a heap of positions in the United Sim Sport entry there at P number 9. Was up 25 positions at the moment, but only 1 pit stop completed. Canelato, although he's looking all right, I've got up here, he's got no pit stops.
Yeah, it doesn't show one yet. I would expect that he has come through the lane already, however, given that he's only 5 spots up based on that information. So I would expect that he's come through. I think the issue there is where he pits in the lane here. It moves him a little bit further down, because we actually don't have a pit stop time. It's just a transit time. So potentially he's just driven through the lane there. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Here another bit of a move there. Jordan Ross on the outside here at the moment, but it's David Kimman trying to hold on to the Shoot Sim Racing. Can he get it done? The 717. You'd think that Jordan Ross will get the move done here in the 143. Lines it up for the left-hand turn as they come under that Continental Bridge and down the hill. The double right-hander, he's got that move done nice and easy. You're not going to get any overtaking here. I would hate to be under brakes there trying to make a move coming up that hill with that double right-hander down. That is a very tricky situation. If you just get the car off balance, it's very easy to put a wheel out on the strip, on the ripple strip, or on the dirt, and from then on, it's a bit of a ride. As that Tom Frere takes a bit of a dive on Dyso. Does he get it done on the Phoenix Smoker entry? They're side by side, a little bit loose there from Frere. Doesn't get the drive, and Dyson will hang on to that position number 3, but Frere, he's taking a couple of laps maybe to get those tyres back up to temperature, just getting his feel for it, but now he's trying to put the moves on Andrew Dyson. I did notice Nicholas Timor is right back in position number 40. He went in the pits on the restart of this race when the safety car went off. So I'm not quite sure why he's done that, but it looks like he has got that done. He's got his second pit stop done. And after that little coming together, Jacob Knight's gone in the pits as well. He went in very quickly. So wait to see what happens there, if he can try and improve on that one. Out in the outside, can they hold on to this one? Who is that? Number 25, Michael Whiting. Fishing Motorsports right out there in the loose stuff. Holds on through this left hand, and now he puts Blake Neck on the outside line, but Neck's got the inside run on this one, the double right hander, so he should hold on to this one. Can they make, oh, how good's this though? They've left room for each other down. That is great driving from both competitors.
Yeah, really good run through both those corners there, and very tricky parts of the circuit for either guy to be held out there. Whiting got very fortunate to not find the grass on the outside, and then returned the favour and gave Neck a little bit of room there on the inside. They run up down to the long turn, and again, just leaning on each other just a fraction there. I think Neck might have just come in contact a little bit with the wheel and then gets through. And then we've got right behind these guys, we've got Rob Bowden sticking the nose in as well in the Tanked SRT entry. And just for good measure, he's going to bring Jack Boyd along for a run as well.
Well, this is interesting because you got Jack Boyd behind there. He's got the move done. I was actually hoping Brian Borg might stay with Jack because he needs to push on as well and to use that person to make that clean air for you. You know, that would be a definite advantage to him. Whiting and Neck, they're going to go for it side by side though, and really the only one who heard out this Rob Bowden thought he might have made a move there, but the problem you got when you got these two guys side by side is which car do you go? Who's going to make the first mistake, and which is the car you need to be behind? Because if you get behind the car that makes a mistake, you're stuck while the inside train or the outside train of cars just goes flying by you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. As another dive on the inside here from Jack Boyd. Looks like he gets that done, and Bowden will follow him through as well. Yeah,
good move there down the inside. He set it nice and early and pushed up. Neck, though, a pretty smart competitor. We haven't seen him too much in the supercars or in this championship for quite a few seasons now, but very accomplished in these cars as well. And just using the race mind, just letting them through, sort their own battles out and press on where you can. Back up the front, Varga has got mirrors full of Rich Kuznetsov and Kyle Stokes. Sean Linsell's now tacked into this battle as well, as we see this 5-car train continuing on down for 9th position at the moment.
Yeah, how Kuznetsov in the Premier Racing Team entry, he's come into this at the end of last season and definitely put some laps together, an up-and-coming talent. Wait to see what he can do. Of course, he's got to watch out there. Varga in front of him. Of course, Kyle Stokes is who we're on board with now. And he's again got to figure out which car he's going to follow through, because Kuznetsov might go to the left. You just never know. He's all over the back of Varga at the moment. The United Sim Sport entry, you can see a couple of cars in front. Look at that, and that's got to be some contact. Didn't look like it upset Kuznetsov's car though, so maybe we're just getting an inside view. The camera right under the rear bar of Kuznetsov, looking at the undercarriage of the Premier Racing Team Ford Mustang. Here we go, the double right-hander. Kuznetsov comes in a little bit tighter, Varga goes out wider. It's all about wheel spin on the exit there. You just need to be careful what you do when you accelerate away, and you don't want to get stuck on the limiter, because that tiny little bit as you run on the Mario Andretti straight away, that will give you a disadvantage. Maybe they can tuck under your rear wing, use a bit of the draft, and then slide the car past you. Well, looks like Stokes almost going to have a bit of a run there, but he can't get it done. Kuznetsov looking for anything, but Varga just pushing on, running the racing line, keeping the speed up. Doesn't need to be defensive. Here we go. Kuznetsov takes a dive up on two wheels of Varga. He's out in the wall. It bounces off the Easy Finance car from United Sim Sports. Oh no, that's not good for him, and that's probably going to hurt Kuznetsov. We'll wait to hear from Race Control how that is adjudicated, but he did take the dive in, and he might have been past the pillar, so we'll expect to see a replay up on our screen at the moment, as it looks like Dyson now in a little bit of a battle as well, and he's been pushed back. Tom Freer.
Yeah, similar move there down the inside and the contact in the rear, so that's dropped him 5 spots, down to 8th position now.
Yeah, we'll see Jordan Ross up on our screens for just a second there. Rick Kuznetsov, though, we're getting back on screen, and he's held into position number 10 now. Sean Lindsell behind him and Todd Hayne. Kyle Stokes has managed to get past when they've had that altercation before, obviously on the previous lap with Varga. So we'll just wait to see what the adjudication is there, because you're all the way up on the pillar. You know, you do have the right to be on the inside there. You've got to make a little bit of driving room, but we'll let our officials deal with that. Harlow, though, under all sorts of threat from Briggs.
This is an awesome run from both these two now. They've cleared out quite significantly from the rest of the pack there now, 3.4 seconds to be precise here as we continue looking back now at what Adam's able to do with the 72 DPR entry there. And yeah, these two have worked very, very nicely. The pace between all of them, or between both of them, very, very consistent as we see the times there up on screen, and it's ebbing and flowing. There is absolutely nothing between these two and how they're running these laps and placing these cars currently.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have a look at how far back. Obviously, we do have Cory Shepard back in P25 at the moment. And it looks like he is 18 seconds off the leader. Is that correct, if I'm looking right? So we're about 19 seconds off the leader. So he's still in contention, considering he's probably the leader of our cars now. He's not the leader of our cars that have done 2 steps, but he's pushing through. And we look back in P14, Jack Boyd is the first one who's done 2 pit stops there. And having a look at him in position number 14, I mean, he is only 8 seconds off the leaders. So that's going to be very interesting at that point, because he's 12 seconds, 12.1 seconds off the leader. So you would think that those leaders coming in, by the time you drive through pits and everything like that, your travel time, he's going to go out in front. That would be my prediction.
Yeah, he's going to find himself in a really good spot when these second round of pit stops come through. Now, the guys are probably all praying now that they get a safety car, because if they do, it's going to lessen some of that impact when they have to come in and make that stop. But for Shepard right now, if he's able just to press on, keep knocking those positions off like he's doing and working his way up through the field, he's in with a fantastic shot here to take the lead of the race when this all cycles through. But it's going to be tough for him. He's got Casey Mann now just ahead in the Pursuit Sim Racing entry. We'll look to see whether he sends one down the inside here, but definitely got the pace on board to Mr. Antenna Mustang. Yeah,
Shepard can't be too patient. I think he needs to really push on. Like you say, there's a few races in front of him who've done the 2 pit stop strategy as well. What's going to be interesting, though, is if we don't have a safety car, Harlow and Briggs are pushing away now. They're on their own pit stop strategy. They are going to synchronise there. It's only going to be 1 lap difference, I would say, between those two. Someone will come in. If the other one doesn't come in, it won't be too many laps behind them. But they're on the same pit stop strategy. When they go through, we expect, of course, that Jack Boyd will go past them and possibly a couple of others. When that happens, though, they're going to be on really fresh tyres. So at this point, you try and extend your lead maybe until you catch up to the traffic, because they've still got a fair bit of clean room before they catch up to the back markers. I've got about a third of a lap. But you push on, try and get as much clean air as possible, get right out in front, and then come home in those really fresh tyres so you can battle it out. Because, you know, the likes of Jack Boyd, Cory Shepard, all those guys who have done the 2 pit stops already, Brent Hobson, I'm just having a look at us, Brian Borg. I mean, those tyres, although they can go to the end of the race, they're not going to be in the best. They're going to be down probably about a second a lap, I would say, Bob.
Absolutely, and that'll be the biggest thing of how you want to run this race, because we're seeing some blistering times from the guys at the front, and the guys now working their way through. There's a big moment there for Justin Clayton. I think that was Nathan Moore in the other Premier Racing entry, just having a big moment there down into turn 1. Tyre life is critical. So far, we're seeing the guys being pretty cautious on how they're making their laps. The pace isn't that far off our outright pace at the moment. We see most of the guys running in the 17s and the low 18s at the moment. So they're saving the tyres where they need to. The track's still looking pretty good, racy and good for these guys. So they might be okay if they can pull it off. But yeah, the guys coming through with fresh tyres definitely going to be the place to be when they finish this race out.
Well, we've seen how Rick Kuznetsov is now under all sorts of attack there as well. I can see Sean Lindsell's going to stay right on the back of him, and he might be able to make a move. And he's on the back. Kyle Stokes gets the move done on Kyle Stokes, does he? Stokes on the outside now. We've got 2 cars side by side. It's almost identical to what we saw a few laps ago, and that came to a really unfortunate end there. Unfortunately for him and Varga. Varga got pushed up on 2 wheels, but it was Kuznetsov on the inside there. Lindsell now doesn't know which car to stick behind, or who's going to take the advantage, where does he go. But while this is all happening, Todd Hayne has caught up. Jack Boyd is on his way, and he is pushing on hard, super aggressive, because he wants the win here tonight. Jack Boyd probably in the prime seat to take it from back further in the pack. He's done his 2 pit stops. He's got to look after those tyres. He's been aggressive, but he's not going to want to get caught up in this battle. He's going to just want to make short work of it, just get the moves done and get out into that clean air.
Yeah, the tough part that we're seeing while these guys get into the train is they're able to close up, and as you can see right here, we've got a massive train of cars riding behind. It's now just trying to find that little bit of momentum that you can get that leads into like the long straight here, or set you up for the next move a couple of corners ahead. You need to have that momentum to try and send one through. And at the moment, well, they're all bunching up. They're just getting a little bit stagnant.
Yeah, you don't want to get you don't want to get stuck at that point where you have to make a move and you're pushing on and you make that error, which could give you a drive-through penalty, could put you out on the grass, and it costs you where you are in the race, costs you points in the championship points. Having a look at Cory Shepard though, who's starting to catch up to this little train that we see out there, and I mean it goes all the way back. There's not too much in it. Starts all the way up here too when we see the AAA car, Kyle Stokes. Goes back to Cory Shepard in position number 22 in the Premier Racing Team entry. Brian Borg in the mix there too. We saw him didn't have the start that he wanted and it really hurt him. Come the single lap qualifier, he was back in about position number 15, I believe, from the start, back in row number 8. We can't stay on board now with Boyd at the moment, Jack Boyd, Synergy Sim Racing. He's the one pushing through. The one that when they come to the second pit stops could take the lead of this race. The tyres will be hurting by then, but can he bring the car home? Can he be super defensive?
Well, he's got a little bit of a chance here. We've just seen a bit of a slide there from Todd just on exit, but the drive still of that Type N eSports car, just enough to keep it out front at the moment as he goes a little defensive, just covering off the move there from Boyd. But yeah, these guys are really starting to struggle now on where they find the pace on circuit. This is probably about the prime time to be considering that second pit stop option for them.
Considering they both pit stop last time on lap number 6, so the tyres are, oh no, here's, I thought it was in. I thought he was in. I thought he might have been going for a bit of a dive down the inside there from Blake, but no, he's pulled into the pits, done a nice job with that one too, and he'll be in, maybe get a fast repair on that car too with the amount of damage on it. Brunt's in as well, so Brunt has gone in as well. He was stuck in that pack. Brenton Hobson though, back in position number 17, and Brian Borg just in front. And they're trying to get a bit of a moves done as they go through the pack. Now, both these drivers are 2 pit stops in, so they are on the same strategy as Jack Boyd. Assuming our leaders came in now, you'd expect that it's going to go Jack Boyd, Brian Borg, Brenton Hobson, 1, 2, 3. But the leaders will come out probably after that. Maybe Cory Shepard might be able to get in that mix if we see them come in now. But they're going to be coming out on really fresh tyres. Remembering we are on lap 22 of 38. And it looks like our leaders are going to push on. Jackson Sisler and Harlow from Synergy Sim Racing and Adam Briggs from simbriggs.com DPR entry. They are pushing on at the front. They are trying to open up and stretch this lead because they are at risk of losing it. They want to come home on really, really fresh tyres so they can take the battle to probably about 5 cars that we're going to go past them.
And that's going to be a really interesting one to see how that plays off. And once we have a look as this one progresses on where the track state's currently sitting at the moment, because that will give us a bit of a key indicator to how these guys are looking later on. The track's just come down a degree so far. It's only 31, currently still 18 degrees ambient, which is exactly what we started on. So it might work out a little bit better as the track continues to cool down. It's still 4 o'clock in the afternoon in sim at the moment, but that will start falling, and that will help those guys later on those fresher tyres.
Definitely will. It definitely will. Those cool conditions will help with the tyres, but if you got fresh tyres, you're going to see them fast. Look how close they are on this one as they go through. Todd Aim has to watch out. Jack Boyd trying to make the move on the outside. He's not going to get it done this time, you wouldn't think. Too far out, but he's on the inside run. Pulls it up.
And he's done this move before, just sets it up nicely down the inside there, but look for Hayne on the run out. He's going to get nice momentum and possibly a bit of help there from Michael Whiting if he sticks in behind.
Yeah, it will help when it comes to, obviously, the draft and slipstream here. And who's going to follow him through? Who's that on the outside? Michael Whiting thinks he's going to have a go at this one too. He's followed him around. He goes, no, I know Jack Boyd's on a move. I'm just going to stay behind him and just keep pushing on. And now another move done. Hayne gets pushed back by Smart. So Christian Smart makes it 3 from 3.
Yeah, he's fishing for a move there for Whiting just to come through. As we see now, the Taipan's car jumps in the lane along with Bowden. So Haynes and Rob there coming and knock those second stops off as well.
I don't think that's a bad move. You've been caught in this battle for a while. Obviously, the tyres are starting to hurt a bit. They haven't been in since lap number 6, so they've managed to do 18 laps on those tyres. They know they can go all the way to the end, but if you're not as experienced a racer as some of the other guys, maybe you get in now and you just see at home, you've got 14 laps. You know you're going to do it quite easily on 14 laps with those tyres. Come out a little bit more clean air at the moment. Our leaders, though, have just gone through our back marker already, so they've just got through a couple of one car by the looks of it.
Well, interestingly, I'm just having a look at the guys that came just back out of the lane, Bowden and Haynes. So Bowden actually did get ahead. when you consider that a lap ago or a lap prior to these guys coming in, we saw Breakneck come in, Neck's down in 35th position while those guys were up in 28th, 27th. So that earlier, the one lap advantage that we thought Neck would have got too didn't work out for him there either.
Really depends where you come out now. We look at Harlow and Briggs at the lead. Let's talk about this, Dan. Does Briggs come in and try and do the undercut? I mean, maybe he's got a bit more fuel on. It's not really about fuel. You just throw tyres on whatever fuel you take, and you get the car back out there. As we see, is that 999 coming in? So they're coming in. So there's still a few coming in the pits there. Christian Smart that he's coming in, just trying to grab his second pit stop there. So Brian Borg will move up another position, up to P14, which is where he started. So Brian Borg out of row 7 in position number 14. He's made his way back, and he has done 2 pit stops there, and you think he's not going to be too far when it comes to the leader. 19 seconds.
And just have a look at a couple of cars back from him as well there. We've also got Cory Shepard now getting a move done there on Michael Taliancic. So those three very, very close on circuit. Taliancic going very, very defensive to try and retain that position 16 at the moment. Shepard's going to have to come up with a move to see where he can get through. Now, I'm just thinking about your question around Briggs, where he comes in for the stop. I'm looking at the track map here at the moment. It's a tough call on where he decides to come through, because if anywhere he comes in now, he's going to find himself in lap traffic, and that's really going to hurt the run here at the end of this race for him.
Yeah, you still think it'd be opportunistic to try and wait for a safety car. He's going to have to probably base his strategy on what Harlow does. I mean, you just come back out behind Harlow, because Harlow's going to push on as well, which is going to give you an advantage getting back through some of those cars. He's not going to sit there and wait. As the Fishy Motorsports entry, Michael Whiting decides to come into the pits now and get the second pit stop done. Quite a few of them. Looks like Tom Freer in the pits as well, and Thomas Hinz. So a few of them just starting to come in. They're not going to take that risk on another safety car, because they probably don't know when it's going to happen. Michael Taliancic, just having a look, has he done 2 pit stops as well? Yeah. He has done 2 pit stops.
Yep, he's knocked over the 2. So while we're seeing the guys coming in for those second round of stops now, this is really promoting the earlier stoppers here, because we just saw Freer and Hinz come through. Now, if we keep an eye on where these guys are at the moment, who are riding on board with Cory Shepard, they're in 14th, battling for 13th between himself and Michael Taliancic. The guys that just went in, Freer and Haynes, have come out in 2021. So they've had a net loss here with the gamble to stretch the pit stops out.
And that's what my concern is with the leaders, Harlow and Briggs. I mean, if they come in now, they're definitely going to go back a few positions there. You probably don't want to get caught in a battle with someone who hasn't. If everyone else had done their second stop, possibly that's what you would do, because at least you're coming out. You're probably going to come out in your effective race order, I suppose. You come out at P4 or 5, maybe 6. But you're going to be with those front runners, and they're all going to be doing the same sort of pace, but you're going to be on fresh tyres with that opportunity to take a bit of a dive there. As Kuznetsov goes past us, and we just have a look, that's Kyle Stokes gone in the pits. Damian Johnson in the pits as well, so he has just decided to go in. But Stokes and Johnson, as we look side by side up on screen, Kimman is trying to hold off Thomas Hinz.
And another good fight for both of these two here. And we've already seen tonight some fantastic side-by-side action, and this is another great example of it as the guys work their way around. So Kidman and Tyson McAvoy just drops out of that one. But again, through the final sector of the circuit there, those guys side-by-side and not a fender touch at all.
Cory has to be careful here. Michael Taliancic's experienced racer likes to start off the back, and he's got in front of Cory. Cory, though, is going to have to get aggressive at some point and just decisive and put that car down the inside somewhere where Taliancic has no option but to relinquish that position. He has to get the Mr. Antenna Premier Racing Team entry in a position just to get a run off one of the corners there, maybe catch a draft under the wing. Mario Andretti straightaway is a good advantage there. Turn number 8 with big sweeper, but you can stick it on the outside and maybe have a duck down turn number 9. It's not going to happen on this one. Brian Borg, there you see his teammate out in front. Just holding up, looks almost like he's holding Brenton Hobson up a little bit there as soon as you see him racing entry, because now Michael Taliancic and Cory Shepard have caught up on the back of this little battle pack, but they are moving through the positions. Brian Borg now up to position number 8. As we say, people are starting to come to the pit. Sean Lindsell, the latest one to go through and take a tour. Looks like, here we go, Cory Shepard's going to have a go. He moves over to the right-hand side. Taliancic tries to block it, gets defensive. Cory Shepard on the outside, can he hold on to it? If he can just make the tyres last, gets out on the grass. Can he get him under brakes here? Nice move there from Cory Shepard. It was a risky move. Taliancic did everything he could within the rules to try and block him. but now he's got the move done. He needs to make sure, though, that Taliancic doesn't have a dive back on the inside. The last thing he wants to do is stay in a battle with Michael Taliancic, so he's going to have to be very, very careful where he ends up there, because he needs to make sure he keeps pushing on and go past Brenton Hobson. Maybe, just maybe, his teammate Brian Borg will help him a little bit with that one. You never know.
Yeah, and that one could have ended really, really badly for Shepard there. We saw him grab the wheels on the left side or the right side, sorry, into the grass there as well. Unfortunately, able to pull the car up. But yeah, fantastic racing by two very seasoned competitors, and making each other work respectfully for those positions. Further up the front, though, our leaders starting to find themselves in a bit of lap traffic here at the moment. Neither have come in for their second stop. It's still Harlow by 0.2 of a second over Briggs. As watch them continue on. We'll duck back a little further as well and just keep an eye on this battle with Stokes and Kidman, just getting into it, the 888 and the 717. So these guys well down the order, down 20th, 21st, but still it's our leaders yet to come down the lane for that second stop tonight.
They might grab a few more positions there, because Cine has just exited the pits. Kenneth Ladder is in, and Rick Kuznetsov now coming out of the pit. So they are just exiting. We may see them go past, and maybe easy pickings as they come around here for another position at the moment. Christian Smart, they're trying to get the move on Rob Bowden, who's on the outside of Bowden. Shuts that one down, manages to hold on to that one over Christian Smart. As we check them as they come around, of course, Christian Smart at the moment. As we go back to Rick Kuznetsov now, he has just come out of the pits. Doesn't look like he had a fast repair up his sleeve. Doesn't want to get that livery fixed up. And managed to come back out in position number 22. All right, the position battle here. See, Borgie's got to watch out for Hobson. Cory Shepard right behind. And like I say, Shepard needs to not get caught up in this. He needs to make sure that he can push on with this one. Jack Boyd, is that Jack Boyd just in front too? Yep. So he hasn't gone too far from these guys who are all stuck. Cory Shepard gets right behind Brian Borg, and Taliancic now looking to take full advantage. Maybe he can get a 3-for-1. You just never know. Will he get the Shane Van Gisbergen move done? Brian Borg and Cory Shepard team up, don't they? They'll be talking on their race team radio at the moment from Premier Racing Team, using that slipstream, trying to push each other as they go past Brenton Hobson now. Will shut the door on Michael Taliancic, which will be a bit of a reprieve there for Cory Shepard, because Taliancic was looking for another opportunity to get that position back on the Mr. Antenna Mustang. Yeah, let's have a look though to see if Cory Shepard is going to get the easy pass though from teammate Brian Borg.
Well, I don't think Borg's going to make it too difficult. Obviously, the teammate's still battling on nice, and they've got to be careful about what happens behind. If they do try and go the change of position, will that open the door for these guys in behind them? And as we see under braking zone, both Hobson and Taliancic phenomenally good, closing back in on that group there. So that's a battle for the top 5 as our leaders now in the lane to get their final stops done. Let's see how this one plays off. It's a good entry for Dyson there. He's able to close up just a fraction as they get in towards the safety line. And here's the battle as the guys head down that second to last corner.
There we go. Cory's got past Brian Borg, and now he's in that stern position, position number 5 behind Jack Boyd. We'd expect Jack Boyd could possibly go to the lead here. Andrew Dyson, I don't believe he's done his second pit stop, so take him out of the equation here when it comes to the effective race leader. Look for the exit. Where will they go? They're coming out now. Oh, wow.
Briggs
you can see him in the background. You can see him in the background. Briggs ahead. Boyd. And he's come out a bit further back there, hasn't he, when it comes to our to Harlow? I don't know what's gone on there. Has he taken a whole heap of fuel maybe in that stop, whereas Briggs has gone for the...
He has. So for Harlow, it's a 10-second stationary stop for him versus 4 seconds for Briggs. So that was a fantastic job from Briggs to gain some momentum and vault himself up now to effective lead of the race when the pit stops cycle through.
We spoke about it, didn't we, earlier on, the 2 pit stop strategy. They don't need to pit. They can make it all the way home from the start. They can fill the cars up. They can go, but it all comes down to what you want to do, isn't it? And it looks like that's where Briggs has the advantage there. Maybe it's just a bit of a setup with the crew chief there. Maybe an error, and we have seen it in races gone by, especially in Season 10. We saw it a couple of times.
We did. So seven laps to go. We think it's only fuel that's gone on board the DPR entry. How's that going to play out for him? Because those tyres are going to be pretty tight at the end of this race. He's been on them for a long time now. Still got a comfortable gap over the guys behind. So should be in not too bad a place. And for Shepard, while he's stuck behind Jack Boyd here at the moment, this is only going to help further the chance that Adam Briggs has got at taking this one out toniok.
Look, a bit of a replay here. Casey Mann and Kenneth Who we got there? Casey Mann there, and just behind here, I'm looking at, a bit of a move there on the number 15. He's giving a bit of a nudge. Jackson Harlow there is just giving him a little bit of a helping hand in that spin around, and maybe Harlow's night's gone from bad to worse there if he manages to get something from race control over that one. Let's hope he doesn't, but you just never know. Now, Cory Shepard's got to get past Jack Boyd, who is on fairly degraded tyres there, which is why I reckon this group's caught up. He gives him a bit of a nudge and says, hey, mate, come on, let's move out of the way, eh? We are in Canada, of course.
Yeah, helping move him.
Look at the defensive moves there, Dan.
They're not leaving anything on the table here. I am surprised just how much the guys behind have fallen off in the form of Hobson there and Tully Andrews. They've got their own little battle going on. But Shepard now trying the long way around to go through that long right-hander. He's going to lead into the tight left, which is going to help him with a little bit more pace. We'll see whether he's able to slide across the nose, and he does get that move completed on Boyd. So that all started right back at the hairpin, and Borg's gone around after contact with Hobson there.
Well, Borg's made it through. It's Hobson who's gone around. I think Brian Borg tried to follow Cory Shepard through there at that point. Thought he couldn't do it, and he's come down and closed that gap, and Hobson and him have made contact, and yeah, Brent Hobson turned around and moves back to position number 13. Check out the replay here on board with Brent Hobson. You can see as they come around here, it almost looks like Brian Borg on the outside thinks he might make a move. Hobson comes up the inside, makes a bit of contact with Borgie. Borgie holds on to, I think Brenton Hobson's got a little bit of a helping hand from behind where they've had nowhere to go either, and he's managed to turn that car around. Almost contact in the background as well.
With
How
the
did they get
teammates.
away with that? Teammates, yeah. That's not good to see.
Not at all. That's tough love there, and that was Harlow coming through that, so just almost caught into the mix on that one as well. Harlow now has got through on Michael Taliancic, so he is now into effective third position or fourth position on the corrected order at the moment.
Yeah, so Andrew Dyson leading this race at the moment, but he's only done one of the compulsory pit stops, and we don't give you a time penalty if you don't make the pit stop. We disqualify you if you don't make the 2 pit stops. So therefore, you must do them. He has to get in. Andrew Dyson, although he's leading this race, it looks like he's got an 11-second lead. Sorry, he's got a 4.5-second lead. He's going to have to come in at some point. We are here, obviously, at round number 5 at Mosport, of course, at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and it's 34 laps into this 38-lap race, the 150-kilometre, all thanks to Jinx Shifters and RaceKraft Simulations. Looking at the battle, Brenton Hobson now, he got spun around a little bit earlier, and he's going to have to work his way back through the pack to get on board with him in there. You just saw in front of him, obviously, was Sean Lindsell trying to grab onto that one. Casey Mann, though, in position number 15, doing a great job there. Looks like only one pit stop, though, at the moment. So he's still going to have to come in and grab a drive through the pits and, maybe grab some fuel or some tyres.
Yeah, well, I'm showing that Mann's done 2 stops, so this has been a good drive for him. 27 spots gained over the course of the run tonight, so he's in a very good spot. We just saw a Pursuit Sim Racing entry go very hard off into the wall. Didn't pick up the number involved in that one, possibly.
That's Kimmon,
Dave Kidman.
Yeah, 717.
So it's the 999 in behind. That's Christian Smart.
What happens here in the replay? Let's have a look. No, maybe a little bit of contact there as he come back down the inside. Looked like it was just obviously Smart just trying to hold his line, and on the inside there looks like he had a little bit of a run here. Who is this? Is this Boyd and Harlow going at it?
Yep. It's the teammates having a good lunch there and getting on. We did hear too the 017 having a chat to race control over the bump and run, which I think they've allowed to press on. But the teammates, nonetheless, having a fair ding-dong battle here.
In the meantime, Cory Shepard, though, the Mr. Antenna Mustang, what a drive from him tonight. All the way from the back row. He was on position number 39, wasn't he? Row 19, right at the back, position number 38 or 37. He has done the 2 pit stops really early, and it's worked into his strategy. Effectively, the only person in front of him is Adam Briggs at the moment. So he's in position number 2, the effective race leader. Andrew Dyson hasn't had his second pit stop. He's got to come in. We would think then that both those drivers behind him, Briggs, Shepard, will go past. Jack Boyd probably as well, and Harlow. So Shepard, what can he do in the final laps? The tyres are hurting. Oh no, Harlow does a big dive here. Does he get it done? Looks like he will over Boyd. And Harlow will go through and move himself up into 4th position in the race at the moment, but it'll put him on the podium at the end. If he can hold on to this one, he's sliding the car around a fair bit. Those tyres are getting punished. Boyd, he's really dropped off the pace, hasn't he, Boyd? He hasn't been able to maintain that pace with those tyres. Looking at him when he came in last time, I mean, he came in on lap number 6. Same as Cory Shepard, though. They've done a whole heap of laps on those tyres.
Yeah, it hasn't quite worked out for him now, and I don't know whether that's maybe just a pressure set or something that's hurt on the way through, but yeah, not quite able to hold on there as we see Jordan Ross coming out of the lane. That was his third stop, so that's an interesting one there. Not sure if there was some contact or damage that resulted in that one, but yeah, as you say for Boyd, very interesting to see, just falling away from the pace. And we did see him make some very good moves earlier on in this stint, trying to work his way through. If you have a good look here at the 64 and the 269, that's man and ladder having a good battle still to conclude out this one. But yeah, just not able to keep those tyres under him as Ladder there gets into the dirt. That's going to hurt him on exit. He's going to have to be careful because he's got Kyle Stokes closing in there too.
Yeah, lucky there's a fair bit of room. They weren't all locked into a train sort of configuration there at the moment, and Dyson's in the pit. So Andrew Dyson has gone into the pits for his final pit stop. How many people will go past him? Where will the Phoenix Smokers entry come out? He's in the pit lane now. We did expect Briggs will go past, Shepard will go past, Harlow, Boyd has gone past. Michael Taliancic is another one who's come from the back, and he likes to start at the back. I think he deliberately does it every week. Starts at the back. We watched him in practice how fast he can be. And Dyson just moving down. So the pit stop strategy for Dyson has not paid off tonight, and there won't be the old smoke meat celebration at the end, unfortunately. Maybe a beard groom. Maybe that's all he's going to get this weekend.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate one there for him. So that pit stop for him, well, very quick, 4.1 seconds, dropped him down from first down to 12th position. So the long run has definitely not paid out, unfortunately, for him there, but should be able to work his way through on those pressure tyres, even though he's only got a couple of laps left. Michael Whiting here having a good run, still coming back through the field after his second stop there, down 13 spots. So it's been a tough night in the Fisher Motorsports Commodore there, but he is going to grab one more on Sebastian Flock. We'll see whether he's able to go around the outside here. And then you got Blake Neck closing in after getting the damage that we saw earlier on in the race repaired on that car as well.
Yeah, it's looking much better with the bonnet line on it though. In front of him is Jordan Ross, who's come in uncharacteristically for a third pit stop. We're not quite sure why that has happened. Jamie Dyke, though, doing a fantastic job. Another one of the Fishy Motorsports cars up in position number 10 and trying to get past Geordie City. Maybe he will get the Fishy Motorsports car in the top 10. We're on the final lap, though, as we come around. Final lap now for our leaders. This is the final lap for the cars. You see up on screen as they go under the Michelin sign. Can he make it into under the top 10, I should say. The top 9 there for Dyke. Will he get the Fishy Motorsports car in there? Borg's just holding on in front. I reckon those tyres are well and truly gone for Brian Borg. He's done everything he can, but hasn't happened. Briggs, though, looking so strong. He is on fresh tyres. Shepard, I'll be so surprised if he can do anything about this. Remembering Adam Briggs came in on lap 30. Those tyres are only 8 laps old. That's all we believe he took. Oh, we thought he stayed on those tyres, actually, didn't we? Maybe he didn't take tyres. But Cory Shepard has been on the pit stop strategy. He got 2 pit stops done in the first 6 laps. And the Mr. Antenna car just trying to hold in. Maybe he can hold out Harlow, who's got a few corners left to go as they head down the Mario Andretti straightaway down the back. This long right-hander before we go into the S's, the final couple of corners, and Briggs is leading this race. The Jinx Shifters, round number 5 here at Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park now. We're about to finish this race here for the AOSC, race number 196, and the checkered flag is out, and the Simrigs DPR entry of Adam Briggs gets the gold on the podium. Cory Shepard, what a fight back after having an uncharacteristic error when it came to qualifying. Then we go back to Harlow, Jack Boyd there, Michael Taliancic, Tom Freer in 6th, Damian Johnson in 7th, Geordie Cini now in 8th, Brian Borg in 9th. So Cini got the move done over him. Thomas Hinz in 10. Dyke's gone back a position there in the final moments into 11. Dyson back in 12th, Ladder in 13th, Stokes 14th, Kuznetsov 15th, Hobson 16th, Mann in 17th, Lindsell 18th, Bowden in 19th, and Hayne. Which one of the Hayne train? That's the Todd Hayne coming through to round out our top 20. Dan, it all happened in the final few laps, but there was no way he was going to catch Briggs. He just looked too strong out in front.
Yeah, look, it was a tale of two completely different strategies tonight. We saw, obviously, for Cory Shepard there, the early pit stop strategy cycle that we kind of expected he would go on to following the way the qualifying event unfolded for him, not quite what he wanted there. But going through the race for Briggs, at the end there, that 4-second stop, which we expected was going to drop him well down the order, much like his teammate Andrew Dyson there, who unfortunately fell down into 12th position. He really surprised us. 4-second stop, come away with the win, got himself back in front of the guys, and takes up the first win now in the championship for himself, and another win there for DPR as well.
Obviously, those were our qualifying results up there. Now, Briggsy started off the front row and he's finished number 1. And I do believe that is his first win, actually, in AOSC. So, Briggsy, I'm sure he'll be giving Dyson a bit of a nudge, his teammate, saying, mate, it's my turn to eat out of the smoker tonight because I've got the win here. Briggsy takes the race win here in the simrings.com DPR entry. Cory Shepard now, Dan, what a fight back from him in the Premier Racing Team, Mr. Antenna Mustang. Has an error in qualifying. Ends up at the back, the second last row of the grid, works his way back, those early pit stop strategies, and manages to come home. You know, what a comeback from him. He didn't get the race win, but you got to be happy about a second position there.
Oh, absolutely. He drove the wheels off the Premier Racing entry, and hats off to him. He did a good job, kept the car relatively clean after that early lap 1 incident, and come home with a very solid second place, and again, more points into the tally as well.
Yeah, it's going to help Briggs, I think, when it comes to obviously move him up a couple of positions when it comes to the championship running. Back in third, though, Jackson Harlow, who will be kicking himself after last week. He said, I wasn't happy with my pit stop strategy. And this time he spent 10 seconds in pit lane getting some work done on the car there on his second pit stop. And him and Adam Briggs went in at the same time. So there's no reason why he had to do that, I wouldn't think, unless some sort of setup didn't take enough fuel at the start. Jack Boyd fought on hard. He's on the similar strategy to Cory Shepard, but looks like he just used up too much of those tyres. Michael Talianchis, no surprise, he likes to come off the back of the grid, but a great finish from him. Didn't get caught up in anything tonight. Tom Freer ends up in 6th position, down a couple of positions. He started in P3 tonight, but back there, and obviously good result for him. Damian Johnson in 7th. Geordie City in the final moments got past Brian Borg, so something might have happened there. Borgie looked the same. He was struggling with tyre degradation because he did the early pit stops as well, but Borgie had started way back in position number 14 at the start of the night. So another disappointing qualifying from him, but he managed to work his way back, get a position. Thomas Hinz in that reliable top 10 position there. Jamie Dyke just missed out in position number 11. Andrew Dyson, that late pit stop strategy didn't pay off for him, and unfortunately he's back in position number 12. Kenneth Ladder in 13th. Kyle Stokes in 14th. Rick Kuznetsov well and truly in the mix tonight, rubbing shoulders with everyone, in 15th. Brenton Hobson back in 16th. Casey Mann in 17th. Sean Lindsell in 18th. Then we go back to 19th position, and it's going to be Rob Bowden, who brought home the tanked SRT entry. Todd Hayne, the first of the Hayne train, the Taipan Esports entry in number 20. Jordan Ross took an uncharacteristic third pit stop. We don't know why, do we, Dan, at all? But back in 21st in the end.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise to us. We didn't really expect Ross to be in there for that third pit stop right at the conclusion of the race. I don't know whether, as you say, it might have been a little bit of damage on the car that required him coming in, or maybe trying to do the Formula One thing, get the fresh tyres on, see whether you can crack out the fastest lap right at the conclusion of the race. But yeah, very uncharacteristic for him.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on. We'll check that out a bit later. Michael Whiting in 22nd. Blake Neck brings home the car in 23rd. Sebastian Flock in 24th. Matthew Brunt, 25. Greg Sharp, 26th. Troy Maguire in 27th. Christian Smart, 28th. David Coleman, 29th. David Kimmond in 30th. Craig Hanspatch back in 31st. Nathan Moore in 32nd. Stephen Varga got turned around midway through the race, unfortunately back in 33rd. Adam Hayne in 34th. Tyson McAvoy in 35th. Sebastian Tixier in 36th. Justin Clayton, 37th. Nicholas Timors in 38th. And that looks like it's going to be our ones that got home tonight. It was a very interesting race. And like you say, a tale of two pit stop strategies to see where they ended up. Unfortunately, though, we did see a few people turn around in the back half. And that always sort of happens when we come to those 150k sprint races, because everyone's battling out to see where they're going to end up. But I do believe we do have some of our winners joining us here in the commentary box. It looks like we're going to start off for his, is this your maiden win? We do believe, but Adam Briggs has joined us. What a way to kick off things tonight, mate. You started off front row of the grid. You had the run on the inside line, and you brought it home with that pit stop strategy.
Yeah, first pole, first win. So I burst 2 bubbles tonight, so that was good. Got it off pole, drove it off the line pretty good. The first lap or two was okay. Got a little bit shaky from lap 3 or 4, and Jackson got through, and when Jackson got through, we had a gap. So I thought, well, there's really no intelligence in fighting, because all we're going to do is invite the people back to get on the draft choo-choo train. So Yeah, we just wanted to get clean air and run laps essentially from that point onwards.
And we need to ask, what was the final pit stop? Did you take tyres on that one? Or was it just tyres?
It was fuel only. So when you, yeah, it was a very small amount of fuel. So the car goes up on jacks, whether you take fuel or whether you take tyres, and the rules are that you got to get the car up on jacks. So we did the bare minimum to get it up on jacks.
Do you think maybe sitting behind Harlow might have helped you there with the tyres just to keep them towards the end of the race? Because it still looked like you had the advantage over Cory Shepard, who obviously had been on tyres since lap number 6, much like yourself.
Possibly. Certainly. Yeah, Jackson was being a great help to me. I didn't have Jackson's pace, I have to admit. I was close, but just not enough to really throw a pass or anything at him. So, and the draft round here is worth 2/10 easy. So I was probably like a 10th off him. And yeah, so that really did help.
And the biggest question is, will Dyson now be cooking the meat tonight in the smoker and sharing it with you?
Oh, mate, the barbecue's already on. It's happening.
We think Dyson probably owes you a feed now. You've you like say you burst the bubble. First qualifying number 1, obviously getting the top qualifier, and then of course going through, and you know we're in the single lap shootout, and we've got the Shootout King award, so that's going to be some points towards that too. A bit of iRacing vouchers there if there's a track you don't own already.
Yeah, look, we just, you know, when you go to qualifying, it's all about getting the best starting position for the race. If it happens to be an end of year points tally on shootout, then so be it. But yeah, I just, you know, you want to start at the point end of the field so you can keep away from the carnage, and that's what we did, and it came out with a fantastic result.
Look, mate, run us through your sponsors, of course. So we do know most of them. We shout them out plenty on the coverage, of course, like, you know, obviously leading the race for most of it. But go through your sponsors and who else you need to thank for tonight.
Yeah, obviously we've got to thank all the folks at AOSC and the commentary team and the admin team for putting on a great show. It's been really good this season. It's always improving, so thank you guys. But also, yeah, we've got simrigs.com, we've got Phoenix Smokers, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Ben Max Mechanical, Alcoholder, and MP Designs, who puts the magnificent paint on the cars as well.
Mate, congratulations. We'll let you go and enjoy it with your teammate. I'm sure you'll be happy to get in there with Dyson and rile him up a bit, you know. Bit of banter between the teammates.
Banter's good, mate. It's all good.
All right, mate. We'll see you at the next round, of course, as we go. And, yeah, be the endurance race. All right, well, that's Adam Briggs getting his first win, his first pole position. Big congratulations to him, the simrigs.com entry, and he brings the number 72 home in what was a fantastic race. But another person who put on an astounding race tonight, it all went wrong at the start in the single shootout qualifying lap. Uncharacteristic from him, but, you know, it just goes to show you how good a racer he is and how he's put the pit stop strategy together. Cory Shepard, you come home with the silver. We joke about the bridesmaid award for you, but tonight, mate, you had to earn that.
Yeah, I'm stoked to come away with a second. That was really cool.
What were you thinking when you made that error? I mean, it was, you just get up in that part of the track, don't you? It's very easy to get a wheel off.
Yeah, you've got to really commit to get a quick lap time down. So you might have committed a little bit too much there, but yeah, well, it is what it is. But yeah, really happy with the result.
Did you enjoy battling from the back of the pack? I suppose a lot of different style of races, and I suppose probably back with a lot of races you're not as quick that you don't normally battle with, I suppose. Was it a bit more fun tonight in those terms?
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot more fun. Obviously, it's a bit more, you got to be a bit more careful with all the carnage around, but no, it was good racing, everyone.
Mate, run through your sponsors. It's going to help you in the points. You'll go away leading the championship once again, but run through your sponsors and who you need to thank tonight.
Yeah, big thanks to my sponsor, Mr. Antenna, all the guys at Premier Racing Team, and you guys putting on the broadcast.
There you go, Cory Shepard second tonight, and will extend his lead in the championship here for AOSC11 as we complete round number 5 here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Congratulations to him and his entire team at Premier Racing Team, doing a fantastic job coming from the back in row number 19 and managing to make it all the way up to get on second position in the podium. But in third position tonight, and after last week, we spoke to him about the strategies, and he said he probably could have improved on the pit stop strategy tonight. It didn't work out for you, Jackson Harlow. You're back. You'll be at third position.
Yeah, probably was a lot worse tonight, but no, regardless, it was a fun race. Yeah, I just wanted to use it for extra laps in the car, obviously. with a few things coming up. Yeah, I felt like it was pretty good. Didn't nail the quali lap, but yeah, the race was going pretty good. I felt like our race pace was good, saving tyre, just trying to do everything I can. I did get caught out a bit in that second pit stop. I thought taking tyres would have been the go. I didn't realize Cory was actually so far up and did his 2 stops. But yeah, I shouldn't have taken tyres. I should have went Adam's way, and me and him would have had a good fight to the end. But yeah, I thought it was the way to go in that time, and it might have worked out if it wasn't for a lot of the incidents coming back through the pack. There was a couple of spins in front of me where I had to check up, and then yeah, I got stuck in some battles. But yeah, that's the risk you take when you do that. So bit of a stuff up.
Well,
Yeah, 100%.
I tell you what, like it is an interesting thing when we come to these sprint races and we say minimum 2 pit stop strategy. So this is where it sort of brings everything into play. And those guys like Cory Shepard who start down the back, take them really early, it sort of mixes up the strategies between all the guys. So that's what makes it interesting for us as viewers. It was fantastic to watch. But a bit of news, you've actually changed teams between weeks.
It's a yes and no. Synergy and United Sim Sports have kind of formed together now, so they're working really hard together. It's yeah, just basically throwing ideas off each other. I'm obviously getting back in the V8. Like I said, the past broadcasts, I used to race a lot at AOSC, but I'm enjoying being back in it, and I'm running under the Synergy team at the moment, which all them guys are mega. Really enjoy working with them. Yeah, a big thanks to Jamie McKnight and all the boys in United as well for letting me go across and just experience some new ideas and that with Synergy and run under them and try and get some results. But yeah, regardless, the 2 teams work really well together, and overall, I'm super stoked to be with all them boys. Apologies to my teammate Boydie. Gave him a little rub, try to get past on the new tyres, but it's all fun. Me and him get along, so yeah, that's racing. We'll come back next time.
I think, well, me and Dan had a bit of a laugh about that. We thought it was a bit funny too, you boys having a bit of a tussle at the end, but it was, you could tell there was obviously, it was just a bit of fun between you guys, and you definitely had the pace to get by. But it was fantastic to see tonight. It was from the top 3 actually getting through, and we thought maybe it was going to be you and Briggs at the end, and Cory Shepard trying to battle it out, but it all worked out. The top 3, you guys, and congratulations on 3rd place. You get yourself a few more points in the championship, which will bolster you up a fair bit. I mean, you've only been here for 2 rounds so far this season, so can't wait to see what the rest of it brings. Of course, we go onto a 300-kilometre race at the Twin Ring at Moyigi next week for round number 6. So good luck with that one. Look, run through your sponsors. Anyone else you need to thank?
I just want to throw a big shout out and thank you to all the Synergy boys. Yeah, like you said before, I love working with them. They're all great guys. Big thanks to United Sim Sports, all the guys over there. Yeah, just everyone that has contributed, and basically could rock up tonight, have a good setup behind me, and just drive the thing. Didn't get the result that I wanted to get for them, but yeah, it's all learning. Come back, and yeah, each round I'm feeling more and more comfortable in the V8. So don't see why we can't move a bit more forward.
No, that's right. I think we've got a lot to come from you. I think you're going to do some impressive things in the back half of this. Well, we're only a third of the way through season 11, so I think there's going to be some impressive things from you, and it could you could definitely pick up a lot of points in the back half of this one. Congratulations on tonight. You still get on the podium, and you still got to celebrate that one with your teammates. Dan, I mean, tonight, interesting racing. Like you say, tale of 3 or 4 different pit stop strategies, but it was all exciting racing towards the end.
Yeah, look, it was a fantastic race, whether it was right at the pointy end of the field or further down as the guys battled their way through. I think we saw some awesome display of driving from everyone out there, not only from qualifying that unfolded. Unfortunately, we saw some great qualifying results throughout the field. I think Tom Freer didn't quite make the shootout, but held on to a very respectable time when the shootout had concluded. Cory Shepard made a bit of a mistake there, and as you say, we saw him drop right down to the back of the field and have to work his way through. But all in all, the racing wasn't too bad. Some big incidents along the way that obviously Race Control will have a look at and review and see how that goes. But thinking back to a few awesome battles, we saw some 2 side-by-side action that would go on for a lap or 2 and not a touch between anyone. So really good driving standard all around. Next week, on the 3rd, we head off to Twin Ring Motegi, as you said, and that'll be an interesting circuit. Very different design to what we've seen tonight here at Mosport. Some big braking zones where the guys are going to have to really get those cars checked up and rotated through some very tight hairpin corners, but also some long straights where they can maximize the speed, some tricky left-right combinations to work their way through. And it's going to be an interesting one. 300 Ks, single driver enduro. It's going to be an interesting one to watch out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we head over to Japan. It's going to be fantastic. Big shout out to our sponsors, of course, Jinx Shifters on board for another season here of the AOSC, and RaceKraft Simulations, who have come on board in AOSC11 over there in Western Australia. Big shout out to our other sponsors, of course, simrigs.com, Track Camps for Gourmets, AJ Insurance Services, Race Circuit Art Australia, Acuta Equipment, and, of course, Team 126 Racing, who've now brought on that single lap shootout. The Shootout King Award will be giving away none less than $50 of iRacing vouchers at the end to see who our single lap shootout winner is as they accumulate their points. And thanks for sharing our stream all over the United States. A big shout out to them. But of course, tonight, can't thank Nick Hasler enough in the background for putting the broadcast together. Yourself, Daniel Leet. I'm Matt Kavanagh. It's been a fantastic night of racing here at Mosport at Canada. Can't wait to go to Japan in a couple of weeks. We'll see you again then.